was actually looking forward to this drive today. It's taking us, we're basically going about 3 hours outside of Los Angeles to Guadalupe. Now, Cecil B. DeMille, back in 1923, decided to make the original Ten Commandments movie and made it out in the Guadalupe dunes and was supposed to remove everything when he was done filming. This was an epic project, and when he was done, instead of removing everything, he just buried it in sand and it sat out there until 2011 when a bunch of archaeologists went out there and found it. And we're gonna go see the archaeological site today. I tried to do this once before and they had massive flooding, so we just went to the local museum in town and saw some of the Sphinx pieces that they had found in the archaeological dig, but I actually want to go out to the site today, so we're gonna do that. Let's do it. Daze with Jordan the Lion, Cecil B. DeMille, and you all begins now. This is one of those fun adventures that I brought my friend Breck out with me on, and when I was visiting him in Texas, he actually brought that up and said, man, I really wish we could go back out and see that together, what we didn't get to see in the dunes. So I'm gonna do it. We'll just have to watch. There's a sign for Guadalupe, 12 miles. By the way, I said this was 3 hours outside of Los Angeles. Probably would have helped if I said 3 hours north up the coast. Right over here they have a map of California and they have a finger pointing exactly to where we are for reference. Believe it or not, we've made it to Guadalupe. Now we just have to go over to the Guadalupe Dunes Preserve where they set up this gigantic set. They had countless extras. The set was massive. Let's go see it. All right, here's our place. See, the last time we came out here, they had a big couple of, I think it was like 2 weeks worth of rains. And so that gate was what was locked. And they said that this road had some dip points where people couldn't get out of it, so that's why they had blocked off the road. So we're looking good. We're further than we were last time. I'm super excited. There's a great documentary on this called The Lost City of Cecil B. DeMille, and it follows Peter Brosnan, the man who kind of gets all the credit and spearheaded all this. He had read Cecil B. DeMille's autobiography, and in there DeMille described that he hoped if they were ever poking around the dunes out here, they didn't think that some Egyptians had been out here. I'm guessing this was what the problem was right here when I'm driving through. There was a pretty big dip right there. Now it's crazy, this is as close as you can get. You're not even really supposed to even stop here, but I went and talked to the park ranger and told her I wanted to come out and look at this, and she said even when you're allowed to go into the dunes, because part of the season right now, the dunes are closed off because of some of the wildlife is pregnant and has nests. They said they never let anybody here, but this is the actual site of, you can see all that white debris and everything and all the stuff going across the top. That was it. This was, I mean, this was epic proportions when they filmed this. Cecil B. DeMille, you know, he grew up religious and Catholic, and he was someone who wanted to bring stories of the Bible to life because he thought nothing could be bigger and more epic than that. And so he ended up wanting to do the Ten Commandments, which was just a huge undertaking. They had like these 100-foot tall sets and they were giant, and he had all these, like a row of sphinxes leading into the temple, and it was just a magnificent thing. They had to build a lot of the sphinxes had to be built in sections and then reassembled once everything got out here. But Cecil B. DeMille ended up hiring a lot of the locals in the Guadalupe area to be extras, and so they would come out here and he would film day after day full of scenes right up there on that hill, and he would have 250 tents for men, extra actors, and 250 tents for women. He had a round-the-clock kitchen for people to get food and coffee. And then they set out making this epic film. Now there's all kinds of, what happened to this? For years it was like, people didn't even know that it was hidden out here. And then, like I said, Mr. Peter Brosnan found out by reading Cecil B. DeMille's book that it was buried out here. At least that's what he thought. So he started contacting people. He found an archaeologist that waited for like 20 years for them to try and excavate this site. Every time they would get clearance, something would fall through. Either they would, be told they had to have a specific permit, or they would be told they didn't have to have a permit. And then as soon as they were getting ready to come out, they would have to get a permit. And then the Chumash Indians claimed that this was their land, and that created a problem. One of the times they were, like the day before they were going to come out here, a woman ended up funding it from Texas and just said, I heard about your story and I'll pay whatever it costs to excavate this and for you guys to do this. And so they started, I think the plan originally started, he found out about it in like 84, 85-ish or something. And then for like 25 years, they worked on trying to come up here and find these pieces. And so finally, they got 2 weeks to come up and do it, and they started finding the nose and the chin and enough to assemble a sphinx and know that they were on the right path. And so over here you can see there's just sticking out of the ground over here. This is as close as we get, and thanks to the park ranger, she was nice enough to even let me come here. You can see all kinds of wood pieces, because it was basically all the stuff was made out of like plaster and wood, and it was all painted like orange. So that's what all that debris is up there, things that they've uncovered. And since 2011, they've been out here looking and trying to find more of the story. But yeah, Cecil B. DeMille, it was in his contract that he had 30 days after the filming of this movie to remove all the sets that he would have set up, and he just decided to leave them and let the sand cover it over. So when Peter Brosnan decided to look into this, he came out and found the landowner for the dunes, and the guy brought him out here and just pointed right there and was like, oh yeah, it's all right there. But then they had to find out how they could go about unearthing it, because as the wind blows, you can probably tell how hard the wind is blowing out here. As the wind blows, the sand moves, and it was covering things up. So when they came out for the excavation, they were going days and only finding, pieces here and there. But then eventually they were finding noses, and they were finding parts of the hieroglyphic for the outside of the pyramid. And so they knew they were onto something, but they couldn't get it all. So it's right there. Now, some of it's in the museum inside the town of Guadalupe, but most of it still is up here. And she told me anytime they can they come out and they continue the excavation process up there, looking around, trying to find as much as they can. I mean, it's so, like, I just want to climb up there so bad, You see that stuff and it's like, it's so close yet so far. But look at that, like, you can just see chunks of wood hanging out and like all the plaster and everything. So it's continuously, when they came out to start digging, they had to dig like 8 feet, 10 feet down before they were finding anything. But now it just sits up there on top. And I see a trail. She told me that recently they had somebody from the BBC was allowed to go out there and take pictures and look around. And so they had done that, but they said otherwise the site is completely off limits to visitors. I think, to me, this is just like some of the coolest stuff ever. To know that they made this movie in the early part of the 1920s, and that they did the 10 Commandments out here. It was a silent version, so the wind didn't matter or anything, but there is a funny story because they had a high dune, and Cecil B. DeMille was known for having actors do really crazy things. Like Gloria Swanson in one movie had a lion, a live lion on her back. And I mean, just, he was known for going above and beyond for the shot. And so he wanted men to race down the dune on horseback, and they were all afraid to do it. And it was either his niece or his daughter, Cecilia, was here, and he said, "Cecilia, get up on that horse and show these men how to do it." And she said in an interview, "I got right up there, I rode down the dune," and he said, "There you go, boys, now do that." But I think that's just so cool that something they filmed in the early 20s is out here. And since this set was very tall, like I said, it was like 100 feet tall when he decided to bring it down, they literally just pulled it down by the back. So it literally was standing straight up and then just was laying out here in the desert, or out in the dunes. But yeah, I just, I wanted to come out and see this. I know we can't get very close, but the last time I was in town, I went to the Dune Center, and they had a little bit, so I'll show you from that video what I was able to find in there because the Dune Center's closed today. Look at that. That's so cool. Largest movie set in history. The Lost City. There's the front. Kind of look at how this is all laid out. The paw is right here. And then the head is right there. Oh no, that's the body. Here's a little piece of the Sphinx also. It's cool. They have just a few pieces in here. Seeing stuff like this is just, it puts me in awe. I mean, I couldn't even speak when I was looking at those set pieces. But it's so cool to see the magnitude of how many people were involved in making this. Do you see that? How many actors and how many cooks and how much coffee and how many building materials it took just to make this thing happen. Certainly was not the epicness I was hoping for, but I'm happy just to even see where it was, because where I was looking before I talked to the park ranger, I was in the wrong spot. So this is a pretty big area. Gotta be thankful for what you can get when you can see it, I think. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. I know I couldn't get very close, and I know you're probably like, oh, I wanted to see more. I'm sorry, I tried to show you as much as I could. I thought I was gonna be able to get closer when I came, and even if I came in a different season, they basically told me I wouldn't get any closer unless somehow I can talk them into, which we might be able to do, into taking us out there and kind of escorting us around, letting us see things up close. But I hope you enjoyed finding about the lost city of DeMille today, Cecil B. DeMille, and the story of, epic movies in the early days. Daze with Jordan the Lion, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next time. If you're new here, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night, and goodbye.